Hey, eaglers, what are you doing looking at a massive dog thing? What the hell is that? Some kind of modern sculpture. It's a dog with huge legs and an elongated head. How are you all? And thanks, by the way, for all the comments on the last video, all the questions and things. I've got loads of ideas now for content and for videos. So this is the first one where I'm going to answer one of your questions. And the question I want to talk about today is, when should you sell your affiliate marketing website? It's a good question. Because, do you sell it when it's earning a little bit of money? Do you wait till it's earning loads of money? I hope it's not too windy, by the way. A little bit of wind coming off the front there, a bit off the sea. Oh, it's far too bright again on the exposure. A little bit of wind. Hope we're okay. But yeah, when do you sell your website? Now, I've bought and sold a few websites. The biggest one obviously being bestroofbox.com, which you know about, don't you? You've seen the playlist. You haven't? Oh, you should definitely go check it out. I'll put a link up there to the Best Roof Box playlist. You'll also find all links to everything, I should say, that I talk. Oh, that was a bit loud. Links to everything that I talk about in the description. But yeah, so that was the main one. I sold that one for $70,000. Do you remember? Oh, excuse me. There's a bit of a better view of the beach. So let me tell you just a quick story on that one. The reason why I sold Best Roof Box was because I needed a stack of money to move here to Spain. The Spanish authorities and that, when you apply for a visa, they like to see that you've got a bit of funds, that you're able to support yourself. So a big chunk of money is a good way to do that. So yeah, I guess it does come down to your personal situation. If you need some money, for whatever reason that may be, I don't know, buy a house, buy a car, clear some debts, I don't know, all sorts of things you might need money for, then you might want to sell your website. And yeah, personal situation is definitely going to come into it. But one other thing I think that you need to keep in mind is the way that the kind of market works. So there is a lot more buyers for smaller sites. For sites that may be earning $100 and upwards. So a $100 site, if you think about it, with the usual multiplier would be about 3,500. Oh man, it's quite windy. I hope the sound is okay. I'm gonna have to re-record this. So yeah, 100. It's like a 35 times multiplier at the moment. So whatever you're earning, it's got to be like the last 3 months average earnings. Whatever that is, multiply that by 35, and that is probably the value of your site. So yeah, the small sites. So starting, from maybe $3,000 all the way up to, I'd say $70,000, $80,000. So that'd be a site that's pulling in, I don't know, $3,000, $3,500, something like that. I'm just trying to do some quick maths. Those sites are fairly easy to sell. There's quite a few buyers that are ready to, they've got money in the bank, they're ready to buy sites like that. And if you use a good broker, maybe Motion Invest, is it called Motion Invest? Forgotten the name now. I'll put links to some buy-sell sites or Flipper, those kind of places. Those sites should sell fairly quickly. Now, of course, there are other ways to sell sites. I've found that just asking around works pretty well. There's some groups on Facebook, there's my community, there's other YouTubers communities. If you get involved in those communities, you can put the word out that you've got a site for sale and you'll generally get a bit of interest. Then you don't have to pay fees and stuff to brokers and agencies. Now, when you get a bigger site, over 70,000, maybe 100,000 or more, that's putting in some really decent earnings every month, it does start to become a bit more tricky. There are less buyers with that kind of money to spend and invest on sites, and there's also a lot more due diligence and stuff that they're going to want to do, because if you're going to drop 100,000 or 250,000 or 500,000 or maybe even $1 million on a website, that truck is being far too noisy. I'm not going to walk past that. Sounds bad enough as it is. I'm going to walk back this way a little bit. Yeah, there isn't that many buyers for sites that big. So it takes longer, it's harder, there's a lot more due diligence, a lot more back and forth, a lot more paperwork, all that kind of stuff. So that's worth keeping in mind as well when you're thinking about selling your website. You might have dreams and ideas that you're going to sell a site for $1 million, which is great, and people do that for sure. I think Spencer over at you know, Link Whisper and what's his other thing called? I don't know, I'll put a link in the description. But I know that he recently just sold one of his sites, one of his case study sites, for 250,000. So it can be done, it can be done. You can get some big prices, but it's just harder. So it's worth keeping in mind. So to summarize, when should you sell your website? Well, it's up to you. It really depends on what you've got going on and whether you need the money. But you also might want to keep in mind the value. So when you get your site up to maybe a point where it's worth 50, 60, 70,000, that might be the ideal time to sell as well, because it's going to be quicker, it's going to be easier, and that still is a serious amount of money. There we go. That's the end of today's little thoughts on when to sell your site. I'm still open to more questions, so if you've got something that you've been thinking about that you want a bit more info on, drop me a comment below. I do read all the comments, and yeah, I might make a video about it. But yeah, until next time, happy Friday, have a good weekend, and I will of course see you next week. Till next time, good luck with your sites. Bye for now.